Call to order this public hearing for July 18th, 2024. Today's public hearing is convened under the provisions of the Local Government Act of British Columbia to hear submissions relative to the proposed bylaw. All persons who believe that their interest in property is affected by the proposed bylaw shall be given a reasonable opportunity to be heard respecting matters in the proposed bylaw. I would ask those members of the public who wish to speak to commence your address to this board by clearly stating your name. The board will not debate the matters of a proposed bylaw with individual citizens, but members of the board may ask questions of you following your presentation. The main function of this public hearing is to listen to your views. No one will be or should feel discouraged or prevented from making their views heard. So first hearing, bylaw number 2837 is a site-specific amendment to zoning of bylaw number 2400 to enable cannabis retail at 2532, 2536 Harper Ranch, Pinneton Road, the Pinneton General Store at Pinneton Lake. The property would remain in the C1 retail commercial zone, but with the added use of cannabis retail. Mr. Corporate Officer, are there any written submissions?
Thank you, Chair. There was a single piece of written submission received by the deadline for bylaw 2847, and that was attached to your republished agenda, to which you should all have had access.
Thank you very much. Are there any in-person submissions? No one at the back of the room should feel I'm singling them out, but if you would like to speak, this is your chance. If you could clearly state your name, please, sir.
Hi, my name is Corey George. I am the owner of the property. I've owned it for 15 years. I've been in the community for about 20 years. And I guess I'm just here to answer questions if anybody has any for them. Yeah, I can tell you from what I gather in the community, there's great support for it. I don't think I've heard anything negative about it whatsoever. Currently, I mean, the history of Pinneton, we're about 22 kilometers away from the city, from the Husky station. We're the only commercial business there. The community is growing slowly. It's definitely not a booming community. And there's probably no other place in the community to put a standalone building that would support cannabis on its own. So that's why we decided to undertake it as the cannabis market grew since legalization. Everyone can tell they're kind of all over the place. Unfortunately for the citizens of Pinneton, we're 22 kilometers away. So if they forget to stop at a store, just like their groceries or tobacco for milk, we're their stopover. They come in and they go, hey, I forgot to go to Save-On to get my goods. They come to us. Alcohol is the same thing for us. You know, it's a Saturday. They don't want to drive to Kamloops. They come to us. I'm assuming cannabis is going to be the exact same thing if the board allows it to happen. It's just another service that's not in our community right now. It's a product that is definitely growing in the community. Statistically, cannabis market is starting to take over wine market in retail businesses. So it just seems to be the next step for us to undertake to service the community. It would stop individuals from having to drive 22 kilometers away to get their goods. And yeah, it's just another one of those items that is in demand, and we have the space to allow it to happen. So.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions? Director Grenier?
Thank you, Chair. Just wondering, in your mind, is there any impact from proximity to residential people? How would you comment about the letter that has been sent in that talks about proximity to a residential neighborhood?
I haven't read the letter. I haven't seen the letter, so I'm not certain what's in it. I can tell you that, you know, Pinneton it's a small community, and I believe I'm commercial one where I sit. I know there's two lots that sit adjacent to me right on the corner of Pennington Pritchard Road and Harper Ranch Road that are also zoned commercial one. I don't believe there's any more commercial land within the community. You know, being how Pennington grew under the different land use contracts, how it all started. I don't really know how the zonings and the community plan allotted for where the properties went. I just know where they're zoned at. You know, I do have right across the street from me, there's a residential property. And again, on the other side of Harper Ranch Road from where I am, it's all zoned residential. And again, right beside me on one end, there's a residential property, and on the back end of my house, there are or businesses, there's residential properties. So it's not like not like the city where you have a commercial zone and an industrial zone and this zone where you get to separate it all. It's just the zonings are where they are. You know, I don't believe that, I'm not certain how it would affect anybody's property. Traffic comes and goes from the building from open till close. We don't anticipate an influx of traffic. What we're anticipating is, you know, and if you come into the building and you are on one side getting a bottle of wine and somebody that you're with decides that they want to get cannabis, they get to go to the other side of the building and pick up the same product versus now they have to go into Kamloops and get their product and whatnot. So we're not going to see, I don't anticipate an influx of traffic. We're not going to see people from Kamloops driving to Pennington specifically for that product. They're already there. They're already on the roads. If anything, we're going to see less people, like less local people, less people from the parks in the summertime coming back into Kamloops on a busy highway because we're right there. They can just stop and go and then go back home versus traveling that highway that's already dangerous as it sits. Again, I'm not certain what's in the letter. So as to how we would affect the residential property around us, I don't see any effect to the residential properties. Yeah, if anything, I would think that it would increase their values, having another business in the community that you can pull from when people go to buy real estate. They look at what's in your community. And you have a grocery store, you have a liquor store, you have a school. I believe they have a fire hall that they just built. It's starting to grow. So as people move into the communities, they look for those amenities. And it's just another item that people would go, hey, that's something that I use. It's right here. I can, you know, it's better for me to move here.
I've got Director Stamer and then Director Houghton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a question from Director Rain. What are the store hours currently?
We float our store hours. Currently in the summertime, we open at 8 o'clock and we close at 9 o'clock, with the exception of Friday and Saturday and Sunday where we stay open till 10. In the summertime, we open up at 9 and we close at 9, Fridays and Saturdays. And on the other days, we close at 8. Yeah. As far as cannabis hours go, what we're anticipating is going maybe 12 o'clock till 8 o'clock in the summertime, Monday to Sunday. And in the wintertime, maybe even closing Sunday and Monday and just running a full 40-hour week on it. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
But I'd like to say, again, hours of operation in any retail business are designed on what your sales are and where they're at. The province of British Columbia states for the sale of alcohol, for example, I can stay open till 11. I currently don't do that. I could also open up at 7 a.m. I currently don't do that because we just don't have that customer base to do it. But if the customer base is stronger, we certainly would maximize the hours allowed by us, by the province.
And so in supplement, there's no change if it was cannabis either.
Pardon me?
So legislatively, there isn't any other changes or requirements with the cannabis end of it?
For hours?
Yeah.
I don't believe that they've tacked on hours as to when cannabis stores can be open and closed. On my end, I'm not going to be running a 24-hour cannabis store in Pennington Lake. You know, I would knock on wood that maybe my sales would allow that to happen. In any retail business, you'd want that to happen, but I don't foresee it happening. Yeah.
Director Houghton.
This is just a statement for everyone's information. Where Pennington got developed, and that's why it's in a very small area, is the Piva family subdivided that many years ago. when they homesteaded that country. And that's why Pinatan is where it is and what it is. So it's not like, 10 people subdivided a lot off here and there, but it was a planned deal by Mr. Piva and Mrs. Piva many years ago. And that's why you're got a tight-knit community.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Director Getz.
Just a question. In where I'm from, most of our cannabis stores leave a thing saying no product left on site after hours. Is that standard? Do you have to remove your product at the end of the day, or do you have to secure it, or how does that go? Because I know in my community they have to, so I'm just curious.
I can't comment on municipal bylaws. I'm not certain what. Yeah, so I can tell you that cannabis is developing within the provincial government. There's a review on it already happening. I'm not certain as to where they did not left on premise. I know you're allowed to leave it on premise. It certainly has to be secured. The definition of security has changed. It used to have to be secured in massive safes and vaults. Now it has to be kept in locked cabinets and those type of things. Anything that we do when we go to renovate this space will be renovated towards the provincial guidelines. Obviously, we wouldn't be allowed to operate it if we don't follow their guidelines. So as far as securing the product, where the product has to be kept, any of those things, those are things that we'll definitely get into and will certainly happen through the provincial guidelines. I'm not really particularly worried about if we're looking at a crime aspect from cannabis. I know that when cannabis first hit the market, everybody was very worried about the security of it and breaking enters of it and those things. It hasn't really been the trend. I mean, it's like anything else, you do get them broken into. The history of my building that I'm aware of, we've had 2 break and enters. One was right after I opened the business, and that was for an ATM machine. And just recently, a couple of years ago, Pinatan had a little bit of a crime spree going on, and we had our front doors smashed, but it was a smash and grab for tobacco. So, under the guidelines, there has to be security shutters. There has to be this. There's a whole bunch of different stuff that we have to do to secure the building, and we'll do that.
Director Morris.
Thank you. Just a quick question, and it's in general, since you have moved forward with this, have you had any petitions, strong comments in general from any of the community members? Or is it been a fairly soft sort of process in terms of you rolling it out and people going, yeah, we're okay with this? That's a bit of an unfair question, but it's sort of a litmus test.
I
what was
actually
your
said
sense?
before I came in here, I can't wait for the meeting to be done because I want to take the sign down. No, all the comments are positive. We're inundated every day by customers that are coming in saying, when is this going to happen? Why is this taking so long? The sign is actually, I know I've realized why they're there for public notice, but it's kind of given, in my opinion, the public way too much notice because they spend a lot of my time in the day trying to explain to people why we still have not had this opened. We've been applying since November with the province. So November till today, we're still no further to where we were. And it's all basically based on going through the process of making it happen and whatnot. So no, I think the community would be really happy to see that the sign's down and hopefully that the amendment has been passed and we can move forward with it. It's been very, very more positive than I thought. When I did my business plan on it, I did not anticipate the positive results from the individuals that we see. Yeah.
Thank you. Are there any further questions or comments? No. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Are there any further representations? Anyone else who wants to make their point of view known? No, I don't see it. I'm going to call a second time for further representations. And a third and final call for representations. There being no further speakers, I declare this public hearing closed. All right, welcome to the TNRD regular board meeting for Thursday, July 18th, 2024. The TNRD acknowledges that we connect with many First Nation communities across our vast regional district. Today, we are located on the Tecumloops to Secwepemc territory, situated within the unceded ancestral lands of the Secwepemc Nation. The TNRD appreciates the partnership that we have with Tecumloops to Secwepemc and respects the territory and land on which we gather today. I have a note here saying that Director Onslow is attending via Zoom. In which case Zoom technology has rapidly increased, and I am extremely impressed. I also have here that we have alternate Director Karpuk here for Director O'Reilly. And we have alternate Director Lawrence Hart here for Vice Chair Smith. He is duly sworn in, I am assured by our corporate officer. The District of Logan Lake has announced the death of Councillor Marion Bell, who passed away on Monday, July 15th. Marion was first elected to council in 1994. She served on Logan Lake Council in 2002, and then she was elected again in 2018 and has served on council since then. Logan Lake Mayor Robin Smith and Vice Chair Smith said Bell was approachable, passionate, and determined to serve the needs of the community with integrity and practicality, but was never afraid to share her fun-loving side. I had the honor of serving alongside her on the Gold Country Community Society Board for 6 years, and perhaps it was her dry English sense of humor, but she was a marvelous person to work with. Her passion for and her dedication to her community were second to none. I know she was active in a number of community groups, such as the Logan Lake Lions Club. Many here knew her. So please take a moment to acknowledge her passing, as many of us knew and loved Marion, and she will be very greatly missed. In this hot weather, the Thompson-Nicola regional libraries are the coolest place to be, literally. As temperatures rise, TNRD residents are encouraged to stay cool and visit any one of the TNRL's air-conditioned locations. There you can enjoy the vast collection and access free library programs and free Wi-Fi. Residents can also grab a special edition Libraries Are Cool bag while supplies last. The Thompson-Nicola Regional District formally signed a memorandum of understanding with SIMP yesterday in Chuchua. The event marked the first memorandum of understanding to be signed between a First Nations community and the TNRD in more than a decade. We were very excited to be able to advance our relationship with SIMP, and we look forward to many more MOUs with other First Nations communities in the TNRD in the future. From August 9th to 11th, the Cancer Won't Wait campaign will have a booth at the Kamloops Rib Fest. The campaign needs volunteers to help man the booth for all 3 days of Rib Fest. That's the 9th to the 11th of August. Shifts last about 2 hours. The booth will be in the Family Fun Zone. So please reach out to Director Hall. Is that correct? It says Mr. Kelly, if you're interested in helping. Oh, Corbin, sorry. I'm sorry. I think of you as Corbin, not Mr. Kelly. That sounded way too formal. You can reach out to our external relations manager, Mr. Kelly. If we're going to be so very formal. Upcoming meetings and events. We have the out of town education session on Wednesday, August 14th, starting at 8 a.m. That will be in Merritt. And then the Thursday, August 15th, starting at 9 a.m. The TNRD regular board meeting will be out of town again in Merritt. I'm sure Director Getz has all sorts of wonderful surprises lined up for us. Oh, yes, he says. Okay. Today in your blue folders, you will find regular mail, a notice of cancellation of the Memorandum of Understanding, Trans Mountain Educational Funds Letter, Environmental Assessment Act Review Notification Letter. And in the event of an emergency, if a fire alarm sounds, please leave by the safest exit doors, either at the rear of the room or the main entrance to my left. Go down the staircase, exit the building, and assemble in the staff car parking lot at the rear of the Paramount Theater. Please do not run or use the elevators. If you have mobility problems, please tell the General Manager of Legislative and Corporate Services who will assist you. That's Mr. Lois there. All right, we have no additions to or deletions from the agenda. So we move on to the minutes of the regular board meeting held on June 20th.
So moved.
Director Stamer, thank you. Director Smith seconds. Are there any errors or omissions? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed, if any? Director Newstater, we do need to hear you
Aye.
verbally. Thank you kindly. And that's carried. All right, bylaws from public hearings. 7.1 zoning amendment bylaw number 2847/2024 regarding 2532-2536 Harper Ranch, Pinneton Road. The first recommendation is not actually a recommendation. So we actually have three recommendations. Would anyone like to move the first recommendation, which is confusingly labeled 2? 2. All right, Director Thorpe, seconded by Director Blackwell. Thank you very much. So this is that zoning amendment bylaw number 2847/2024 be read a third time. Is there any discussion? Questions, comments? Director Morris is eager to vote there. So we will call the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That is carried. We have a second recommendation, labeled 3. Move 3, Director Ranta, thank you. Seconded by Director Middleton. Is there any discussion on the question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That's carried. And the final motion, which extends over 2 pages. Sorry, move 1 was Director Thorpe, seconded by Director Ranta. Hello, no, I'm not trying to ask you a question, Mr. Siri, thank you. Technology. All right, any discussion on this? On the question, all those in favor? Opposed, if any, that is carried. All right, we have a delegation from Caribou Chilcotin Coast Tourism. We have Destination and Experience Manager Jacqueline Harper to provide us with an overview of the organization and what is happening in the TNRD region.
Awesome. So I'm just going to share. And let's make sure you're on the right one. Can you see my screen now? Oh, sorry. Can you see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. Oh, actually, sorry, let me just switch that back. And you can still see my screen? Okay, and you guys can hear me okay at this level? Okay, perfect. So, good afternoon. My name is Jacqueline Harper, and on behalf of the Caribou Chilcotin Coast Tourism Association and the partners and operators we serve, I would like to thank you for your time, and I would like to share our vision, mission, and partner pledge to introduce our team and our current work. So, just a little bit about us. So we're the Caribou Chilcotin Coast Tourism, or the CCCT, or CCCT for short. So we're a nonprofit, stakeholder regional destination management organization. We focus on promoting responsible tourism development, marketing the region's tourism products, and supporting the regional film, motion picture, sports tourism, and creative industries. So the CCCT has been active in the region since 1962, supporting stakeholders, working with the partners, and helping to expand local economies through tourism. So in terms of our vision, Our mission and our stakeholder pledge make up our guiding principles and are as follows. So our vision highlights our stunning landscapes and experiences, local peoples and heritage, and the need to be leaders in innovation and revenue development for our regions and communities. So our mission addresses responsible growth and stewardship, inclusivity, and finding a balance between the sociocultural, economic, and natural environment. And this is our partners pledge for government. So the CCCT team adds value to government by providing real-time industry information, timely, effective responses to opportunity, proactive guidance and counsel on potential challenges, and advancing insights on behalf of the visitor economy within our region. So I'll just introduce you very quickly to our team. So including myself, our team consists of 8 full-time members. And this summer we have 4 students joining us. 2 are under marketing. 1 is a sustainability student and 1 on our accessibility team. So all of our team comes from very different backgrounds, making a diverse and dynamic group. And then I'll just get more into the nitty-gritty. So our current model has 4 destination experience manager positions. The DEMs are the first point of contact for our operators and partners. We provide tools and resources from our partners to keep operators informed, up to date, and better able to succeed. We hear their challenges or concerns and work to advocate for and help find solutions. So I specifically look after the Gold Rush Trail South, which intersects with the TNRD electoral area E, so Jesmond, Clinton, and 70 Mile House. So just a little bit about our current programs. Destination development is the big thing that we do. And so we do destination development and planning to provide travel experiences that highlight our areas to help to bring income to our regional economies, as well as collaborate with film and media and our operators and partners on an ongoing basis. We also have a sustainability program and we do biosphere certification. So this aligns with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals and encourages our partners and operators to participate and pursue biosphere certification. We also have an accessibility program that aligns with the BC Accessibility Act and the UN SDGs with the goal of building inclusive experiences for everyone. We provide accessibility assessments to business and connect them to resources for upgrades or enhancements. Mike McMurray, who's on our team, he is the accessibility program assistant and brings lived experience to the team. We are currently reaching out to our operators to offer an on-site accessibility assessments and collaborating with Destination BC to share and promote accessibility attributes and to our tourism businesses on the Hello BC website. Marketing programs and marketing delivery. So as the first point of contact with operators, DEM, so myself, share marketing program information and support marketing delivery. Annual funding is available for cooperative marketing campaigns as well, and different marketing programs as they're developed. So we share that kind of information. Travel, trade, and travel media. The CCCT coordinates with many national and international programs that allow our operators to capture the attention and overseas markets and allow our businesses to thrive with international interest. Our travel, trade, and travel media staff work directly with journalists, writers, broadcasters, and media companies that are always hungry for stories and want to hear what our operators' businesses can do for them. Emergency management, our program works in alignment with the provincial emergency management framework, collaborating with partners, districts to source accommodations and resources that may be available to for emergency operations, activities, and providing tourism emergency support to operators and visitors during events, including coordinating accurate communication with operators. We also have our annual tourism summit and our annual general meeting. And so this just provides partners and operators with relevant content, networking, and learning opportunities and marketing updates every year. So this year that would be in October 15th to 17th, and that's in Bella Coola out on the coast. And then finally, we also have community updates where we share several times yearly throughout meetings such as these board meetings, and we constantly update our operator information and their current successes and challenges. The only thing I really have for you guys is to join the BC Tourism Climate Resiliency Initiative Project 4. This is designed to establish a provincial network across BC, enhancing the management of climate resiliency and sustainability within community destinations and broader tourism industry. They're hosting a lot of different virtual webinars, and they tend to be really helpful and talk about very key topics that are really relevant to tourism. And then, so regional partner collaboration. So our regional partner collaboration is integral to both the region and tourism industry. Visitors to the community bring valuable revenue to the regional economy, which results in local regional development. Through our partner collaboration, we network and build relationships, advocate for tourism and tourism businesses, share the impacts and successes of our region, reach out for feedback and concerns from local governments, and share opportunities to participate. So I'm just gonna give you guys a little bit of insights into marketing. So the slide shows that traffic to our websites, the resulting online referrals to businesses and communities, and which geographic areas the web traffic is coming from. So social media and our websites are generally equal in inbound traffic, and our top 6 markets to the website are similar to those we're seeing visiting in the region: 79% from Canada, 13% from the US, 1.5% from Germany, 1% from the UK, and 0.5% from Australia, 0.4% from France. So marketing campaigns that drive visitors to our websites include digital and social media ads, as well as e-newsletter, print ads, third-party banners, and TV ads. So these campaigns create over 20 million impressions in the year, and these impressions result in almost 73,000 online referrals, to our businesses and our communities. A little bit more localized context. So regional marketing performance, the direct impact of marketing campaigns for electoral area E was just under 5,000 referrals. So that's about 7% of the total online referrals for our entire region. And then 3,369 content pieces were created to promote Clinton and 70 Mile House, which fall into the electoral E. Future marketing opportunities are available through marketing tourism campaigns for content creation and promoting tourism experience through paid digital marketing, marketing campaign and consumer show funding for the coming fiscal years. So those applications open mid-October, and we are open to collaborate for future grant and funding opportunities. So Rodrigo, our Director of Marketing, has put his contact information here in case you would like to inquire further. And just as I wrap up, this is my contact information if you need it, or if you have any questions or concerns that come up. And then I'll just conclude with saying we respect and understand the regional challenges and potential, and look forward to working with you in a community-oriented and collaborative way going forward. Developing a strong and sustainable tourism industry can help build and contribute to a vigorous and resilient region. And we look forward to ongoing collaboration with the TNRD to help develop and support tourism in the area. So our CCC team strives to support and listen to our operators and partners in all aspects of tourism, and we look forward to ongoing collaboration to develop, expand, and share the wonders of our region. So I sincerely appreciate your time and evening, and welcome your questions.
Thank you very much, Ms. Harper. Does anyone have any questions about CCCT, Director Grenier?
Thank you, Chair. And thank you for the presentation, Jacqueline. There's the provincial electoral boundary changes. There's essentially a new Caribou Chilcotin. The name is the same, and it includes the new electoral boundary area includes all of Area J, part of Area I, Cache Creek and Ashcroft, along with the current Area E. And I'm just wondering, does that boundary change impact your operational area, or is it too soon to say, since that doesn't even take into effect till, I guess, October?
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, our boundaries are set, and they're not completely reliant on like tax or municipal boundaries. So our boundaries between us as the CCCT and TOTA, so Thompson-Okanagan Tourism Association, that is more in your area, should be staying the same. But I can follow up and double check to make sure there isn't any changes with those new provincial boundaries.
Any other questions or comments? No? Thank you very much for your presentation. It looks lovely and cool in that picture.
Yeah, not quite how it is right now.
All right, thank you very much. Our next delegation is Music for the People. We have Margaret Gossage and the artist and founder, and we have Project Director of Indigenous Resurgent, Shay Paul. So welcome, the floor is yours.
Thank you for having us. It's actually Margaret Bandura. Lee Morris married us in June of 2023. Before we begin, I wanted to paint a little picture for you. Rod played guitar for over 60 years. He's a father, a grandfather, husband, brother, very humble. Things you did not know about Rod, because I'm sure he delivered to many of your offices. He worked for Loomis for 44 years. He played at the Commonwealth Games in Victoria in the early 90s in front of 75,000 people. He was flown twice to Ottawa to play for the Prime Minister. He was on Much Music 8 times. But none of you would know that because he was so humble. In 2022, I came up with this little idea to collaborate with the Kamloops Symphony and the Sage Hill Singers and Drummers, Rod's original music. And boy, did his eyes roll into the back of his head, and he said, "We'll see." Well, we pulled it off. The first show at the Sagebrush Theatre had over 400 people. Last year, we decided to move it to the Arbor. We had over 900 people. As you know, we lost Rod in January. And in the spirit of reconciliation and being a settler and swept into the arms of this beautiful culture for the last 15 years, we're going ahead with Music for the People. We have his kids, Rod's kids, and Henry Small singing Rod's songs and a few covers. Sage Hill's singers, drummers, and dancers and performers from the Kamloops Symphony. On September 8th, we're all coming together. There will be an artisan market from 4 to 9, and the music will take place from 6:30 to 9:30. We haven't gotten quite as much funding this year. We're close, we're $7,000 short. So I'm not sure whether there's any TNRD funding I could access. But let me know if there is. This is Shay. She's from the Indigenous Resurgence Project, and she's a big part of our show.
Thank you all for welcoming us here today to talk about this. I am an artist myself. I'm a member of Te Kamloops Te Secwepemc. I was born and raised here in Kamloops, and art is with everything that I do. I first met Margaret and Rod a number of years ago when I was just starting my own journey as an entrepreneur and trying to connect different artists in the area, specifically Indigenous artists. So I immediately fell in love with Music for the People when it first kind of started growing out of Margaret and Rod's passion. And I knew that I had to be a part of it in some way. So I have a background in market organization, artisan market organization, and event management. So I'm just trying to help out in any way that I can. See this event really reach out to the people like it reached out to me when I first saw it at the Sagebrush Theatre, which was powerful. It really connected with me, and I got to see people who I saw firsthand the crossover between demographics, between cultures, between our communities, because there is a little bit of bridging between Te Kamloops, between the Indigenous people here and the rest of the city of Kamloops. So seeing everyone together under the roof of the Sagebrush Theatre was inspiring, especially towards reconciliation. So this year, not only am I coming along to help out in any way that I can with the organization of this event, coming to speak when I need to speak, I am also just recently coming on board as a producer and artistic director for a documentary called Little Sky. This documentary will be filming on location during the event September 8th, as well as on the reserve in the surrounding area the weeks on either side of that. And this documentary not only takes into account Rod Bendera's legacy in his community and with the people that people's lives that he touched, but also the story of how music, how art and creativity can heal through past trauma and make communities stronger. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions? And could you give us the dates and location of the project again, the event, please?
It's September 8th at the Kamloops Arbor. It's a Sunday, so everybody should have the day off.
Thank you very much. We move on to item 8.3. We have an expired permit for 7857 Dead Man Vidette Road. This is a chance for the owners to make representation to the board respecting the building infraction. Is there anyone here to speak to this? No. All right, we move on to item 8.4, which is building infraction and expired permit 5345 Highway 5 in Chinook Cove. An opportunity for the owner to make representations to the board respecting the building infraction. Is there anyone here to speak to that? No. Moving right along to unfinished business, building infraction. We have the expired permit on Dead Man Vidette Road, and we do have a staff recommendation. Director Ranta, seconded by Director Laird. Thank you. Anyone have any questions or comments? No. Seeing no hands in the air on the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That is carried. Item 9.2, we have the building infraction expired permit 5345 Highway 5 in Chinook Cove. We have another staff recommendation. Director Blackwell, thank you. Seconded by Director Haywood. Did I see your hand in the air or were you just, okay, thank you. I didn't know if you were just moving your glasses. All right. Something we with glasses, which is the majority of people here, I realized suddenly, are all too familiar with. Anyone have any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? That is carried. Item 10.1, Loon Lake Fire Protection Service Security Issuing Bylaw number 2848 2024. We have 3 recommendations. Director Ranta, seconded by Director Sarai. Does anyone have any questions or comments? On the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That's carried.
Move to.
Director Stamer, seconded by Director Smith. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, if any? That's carried. And number 3. Number 3, Director Smith, seconded by Director Thorpe. Thank you. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That is carried. And its companion, 10.2, Loon Lake Fire Protection Service Parcel Tax Bylaw number 2849. Again, a matching set of 3 recommendations. Director Ranta, not trying to single you out, Director Smith, as I stare right at you, but thank you kindly. Any questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, if any? That is carried. Director Sarai, thank you. Director Getz seconds that one. Comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, if any? That one is carried. And number 3. Director Thorpe? Director Smith, thank you very much. Questions or comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That is carried. Item 11.1, Agricultural Land Commission application number ALR 235. We do have a recommendation. Director Laird, thank you kindly. Director Graham, thank you. Any discussion on this? No questions, comments? All right, on the question then, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That is carried. 11.2 Agricultural Land Commission application number ALR 236. Director Blackwell, thank you. Director Sarai seconds that. Questions or comments? No questions or comments on the question, then all those in favor?
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? That one is carried. 11.3 referral response number REF 721 telecommunication tower facility in electoral area L. Director Thorpe, thank you. Sorry, who seconded that? Director Houghton, thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions or comments on this item? Director Houghton.
Just a quick one. I was in consultation with the consultant that worked on this Rogers project, and the original site was across the highway from the Monty Lake store and a piece of private property. And there was quite the petition that went up at the time. And the consultant phoned me back and he said, what do you think about moving it across the highway above the Monty Lake store by the current TELUS tower? And I said, well, I'm 2 years into my term on the board, and connectivity is a hot item. And I said, we all want these things. It's like the transfer station in Knutsford when it was first proposed, but nobody wants it in their back door. And I think this is the best reasoning for maybe coming in a 50-50 kind of a deal that this will give the service, even though it won't provide as good a service according to the consultant as the original proposal, and that's why it was there. But I'm in favor of it going ahead in this location. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Director Houghton. Any other questions or comments? All right, on the question, then all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That is carried. 11.4 referral file number REF 738 from the Regional District of North Okanagan regarding their growth strategy. We do have recommendation. Director Ranta moves that. Thank you. Seconded by Director Sao. Thank you. Any discussion on this? All right, on the question, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That is carried. All right, we move on to a verbal report from CAO Hildebrandt. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Chair Roden, and good
Sir,
afternoon.
he's going, sir, uh-oh.
Yeah, something's coming. I'm not sure about that. But thank you. Good afternoon, Board of Directors. I've got just a number of updates I'd like to provide that I'm going to deliver, and then I've got 3 more that Mr. Kelly will walk us through. To start, I wanted to provide just a quick update on the EOC situation that we had in Savinaw, which is happily going in the right direction. Estimated over 50 properties were impacted, mostly damage to landscaping and debris in yards. Provincial assessment indicates that rain was falling at a rate of 100 millimeters per hour, considered a 1 in 10 year event. Some properties with interior damage, at least 10 properties with damaged basements. No properties deemed uninhabitable. Skeecheson First Nation really stepped up and responded during the event with sandbags and equipment, pumping water from people's basements. A number of their staff returned and volunteered to assist with debris removal. So our heartfelt thanks go out to Skeecheson First Nation for all their assistance. Team Rubicon also joined in and volunteered to respond to assist vulnerable residents with debris removal on the weekend of July 6th and 7th. So that was, again, very appreciative. Enbridge and Tech both made financial donations, which allowed the TNRD to perform debris pickup and disposal on private property, which otherwise would never have happened. So we typically aren't able to react as a local government for situations like that, but with their help and their contributions, that certainly impacted and helped the residents of Savinaw greatly. City of Kamloops ESS team supported 3 households who required temporary accommodations during the event. The province EMCR, Emergency Management and Climate Readiness, did support TNRD to make repairs to our infrastructure in the area, which was welcomed. And then, of course, DFA was requested on Monday, July 1st. And I know the notes I probably sent out to the board said we hadn't heard yet, but I can actually say now we had some great news where this event was in fact accepted by the province. And it sounds like we're going to be the first test on their electronic portal for DFA claims. So good news with Savinaw after a tough situation. Secondly, I wanted to just touch on yesterday's TNRD official signing of our MOU with Simcoe First Nation. As Chair Roden mentioned previously, it's something that we're really excited about. Both governments have the ability now to continue to move forward, building strong relationships, building it out on trust and communication. Behind me on the wall, I wanted to share is the actual photo that we presented to the band yesterday during that MOU ceremony. And there's actually the title of the MOU with SIMP in Secwepemcin. Corbin, help me. Secwepemcin in the language. So it's actually right on the picture. And the hope is that one day our walls will be filled with photos similar to this one that will represent each of our agreements with the many Indigenous communities our regional district spans. So we thought, number one, we'll go here on the back wall and we'll continue to fill this room as those relationships evolve. I also want to congratulate Corbin, Mr. Kelly, on his achievement in moving this relationship forward in a very positive way. And I look forward to our next opportunity, which I think is coming soon.
And tell them all who took the picture.
And the picture was taken by Mr. Kelly, I believe. So I'm not sure if he signed it, but it's certainly
That is also beautiful Eleanor Lake in Blue River.
Thank you, Director Onslow.
And it needs to go up a little bit at the right, I'm afraid. I'm sitting here staring at it.
Austin, can you get on that? My third update I wanted to provide was just the Kamloops powwow experience. I had the honor and privilege to represent the TNRD at the recent Kamloops powwow a few weeks ago, along with Chief and Council, City of Kamloops Councillor Newstater, our local MLA Peter Millibar, and other guests. I was there on the Friday. It was a great experience overall. We all participated in the Grand March at the Arbor on opening night, which was quite an amazing experience when you have 1,000 dancers around you in the center of that arbor. So that was certainly moving. The amazing regalia, traditions, drumming, and the people were outstanding. I was told I need to work on my rhythm, so I am working on that. I appreciate the opportunity to represent the TNRD at this longstanding event and learned a lot. My family and I went back on Sunday as well to experience some of the dancing competitions and the delicious bannock. So it was quite an amazing experience. So Cook's Gem for that experience. And then finally, before I hand it over to Mr. Kelly, I wanted to provide a quick update on EOC from a wildfire perspective. Again, my notes that I shared earlier with the board as kind of some of the key points have changed significantly as of last night. And it's amazing how quickly things have changed. So orders and alerts were communicated last night for the Venables Valley. I know we've talked about that this morning in our committee of the whole. This fire has now been elevated to a provincial fire of note, over 5,000 hectares in size. So it's and I know there's a call that's occurring right now with continued updates that are going to continue to most likely have orders and alerts associated with them. Coincidentally, we had 2 staff members in the Valley last night doing actually a Fire Smart preparedness presentation. And of the 80 to 100 residents that live in that area, we had actually 50 residents at that meeting. So from an efficiency standpoint, we were able to verbally talk to them about the alert and the orders, which made that whole process so much easier. This area of with these 100 people or so are very well prepared, very organized, and we're able to quickly evacuate to Cache Creek and to Kamloops. Our EOC staffing plan is fully developed to cover us through the summer, so we are ready. We continue to watch the weather very closely with some of the changes happening in the next few days and with hot weather, instability, and wind. As an FYI, I just want to make sure I reiterate this to the board that our EOC team will always reach out to our elected officials in a timely manner when issues arise within their area. This has been a consistent practice for years now, and we'll continue. That's our best practice and best path forward. So you can expect a call if something is happening in your areas, whether it's a municipality or an electoral area that we're supporting. That being said, please feel free to share information and relay details and concerns to our EOC and myself, and we'll make sure that they get transferred and provided to the right organizations with BC Wildfire. I would again encourage the entire board to download the BC Wildfire app. I know we had some concerns with it this morning, and I know we've worked through those now. But this is a very important app that provides really good information. It can be shared publicly and as a useful tool to stay on top of some of these things. Prior to shifting to Corbin for a few of his updates, I just wanted to see if there's any questions at all from the board.
Does anyone have any questions? Director Grenier?
Thank you, Chair. Just a quick comment. You mentioned all the people that helped out in Savinaw. I just want to say thank you so much, CAO Hildebrand and your team, Kevin, Jamie, Mike Knopf, Amanda, and our communications team. You did wonderful work keeping us informed and stick handling that disaster financial assistance application, keeping it in the forefront. So thank you so much on behalf of everybody in Savinaw.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Mr. Kelly?
Thank you. Yeah, just briefly, a few things to update the board on. UBCM is coming up. I know that this seems to be a consistent theme of mine every time I come and chat with you, but just wanted to let the board know that minister meeting requests have now been submitted. Their deadline, I believe, was June 21st, so we got them in before the deadline. A lot of the same topics as last year, so a lot of the same ministerial meeting requests. Certainly based on the feedback that the board provided, was that we don't want to change gears too much. We want to keep it consistent and make sure that we're being consistent with those asks to the minister. Moving to staff meetings now. So meeting requests for ministry staff need to be in before August 21st. So I'm working to make sure that we're requesting meetings with staff for all of the meetings that we've requested with ministers, so that we can kind of double up on our ability to chat with ministry representatives, and as well some specific EA advocacy topics. There's a few electoral area directors who have come to me with some specific issues that they would like to meet with staff on. So working with them to coordinate that. Coming to the Policy and Governance Committee in September, and just wanting to give the board a sense of some of the work that we're doing on the topic of advocacy, is developing an advocacy framework. So really wanting to streamline our process in terms of, what is staff advocacy? How are we, myself and others, advocating to the province, and how are we going to be working with the board of directors in a really efficient and timely way to advocate for board priorities. The intent is to sort of work with directors to set out advocacy priorities throughout the entire term that will give myself direction to sort of move our advocacy beyond UBCM, and not just having sort of those 15-minute speed dating sessions with ministers, and really wanting to be able to move the dial on a lot of issues that are important to the regional district. Similarly, coming to the Policy and Governance Committee in September will be an Indigenous Relations framework. This was based on feedback from the Policy and Governance Committee. It's not intended to be comprehensive or prescriptive, rather sort of a one-pager of the work that the TNRD is committed to doing to advancing reconciliation, the work that staff do to advance our relationships with our Indigenous communities, and the work that directors will do to also advance those relationships as well. There's a number of great examples that we can look to of other regional districts who have developed Indigenous relations frameworks. The Comox Valley is a great example. So, we can see that other regional districts have done this and done this successfully. And so we'll be looking to them and as well the Indigenous communities that we have existing relationships with, to ensure that we're aligned in that work. So both frameworks coming to the Policy and Governance Committee in September. But yeah, I'm not sure if there's any questions from directors, but.
Any questions or comments for Mr. Kelly? CEO Hildebrand?
Thank you, Chair Roden. Thank you, Mr. Kelly. I just overlooked one thing from my my update, and I just wanted to acknowledge Mayor Reed Hamer-Jackson was at the powwow with me there. I think he was the one that told me I lacked rhythm, but I overlooked that when I mentioned that. So he was there at the time as well. Thank you.
And thank you, Mr. Keller, for your work with the SIMP MOU. That was about a year of work between you and staff at SIMP, and it was a great occasion to get up to Chuchua yesterday, and look forward to many more. And back to CAO Hildebrand for an update on these, can't speak English today, strategic plan status update.
Thank you, Chair Roden. Shifting gears now, as you all know, our work and direction is guided by the board's strategic plan. Today, Colton's going to help us walk through a bit of the details around that one, so he's going to join me. But from an overview standpoint, what we're going to provide is a high-level overview of the projects that the TNRD has been working on so far in 2024 to highlight that the work that the TNRD is doing, which aligns with the board's strategic plan during its term. We're about midpoint right now of the term. We're going to go over some of the key projects and work done on each of the 5 strategic priorities. We'll show you the list, and we'll talk a little bit about a few of the handful of projects that we'll highlight. I've sent out an electronic copy to the board this morning for your reference in the future. Colton will also share that it's already up on our website, so we can share it publicly as well, and he'll mention that and show you the place where that's at. The update captures the period between January and June of this year, and we're aiming at doing this twice per year. So now, and then we'll do it again in January. And as a reminder, I think the board has provided some direction that we'd like to take a look at our strategic plan back in February coming up, so that in case we want to make any slight adjustments, we're able to. But I'd like to maybe call Colton up to walk us through that presentation right now and share that on screen. Thanks, Colton.
Thank you, Scott. This clicker on. Oh, there we go. It's been a while since I've used this thing. Scott went through the introduction there. I just shared, we have copies, plenty if anyone needs one, in the building of our strategic plan and the first couple pages of the plan. I just screen grabbed a couple things from there. Our 5 strategic priorities, which we're going to get into in a second. Our vision statement and values, which was new for TNRD strategic plan. There's the cover of the progress update, which is on our website. So strategic priority 1, livability in the built environment. Some of the action items in here are long-term planning, core service delivery, service enhancement, infrastructure projects. So I'm not going to go through every item or project that is listed here, but I kind of want to speak to a few of them and just give some high-level info. So for number 1 here, for SP1, the Black Pines groundwater well project, that was a long-awaited project, which was completed in January. Residents there have much better drinking water now with the new groundwater source. And in early May, after testing by Interior Health, the long-term water, boil water advisories were lifted. The water system had been under some sort of an advisory for more than 10 years because of turbidity from a shifting sandbar in the river. On that list, Paul Lake's Waterworks feasibility study. There was board direction a couple of years ago, and a feasibility study was completed earlier this year about the possibility of the TNRD acquiring this private water system. It's an old system that hasn't been funded enough to properly maintain it, because funding is an issue for most, if not all, of the tiny utility systems, whether they're public or private. This study was brought to the Paul Lakes Waterworks customers during a public meeting last month. Next steps, a public survey to see if residents are interested in pursuing whether they want the TNRD to take it over. New official community plans are underway for electoral areas LNP and M&N. The board approved that direction earlier this year. Public engagement process has been created by staff. We're doing a survey and have set up web pages with supporting info for each of these projects. And public meetings will be scheduled in the fall with more info to come. The planning department's working on the regional growth strategy monitoring report, which is a project to collect data. It's done every 2 years.
The last one was done just before the fall 2022 local elections. So it'll be a new document to look at for many of the directors here. It's pretty interesting as a way to measure livability in communities, not just with PNRD services, but other community services like healthcare and local economies, transportation. Bill 44 zoning was another one on there, zoning amendments enabling secondary suites for additional areas of the TNRD to meet provincial mandates. Number 2, relationships and reconciliation. As we've heard, the TNRD formalized the Memorandum of Understanding with SIMP. Our external relations and advocacy advisor and other staff worked closely with SIMP throughout the year, so far in 24 and through last year to make that happen. A second MOU is in draft stages with Tk'emlúps, and there's positive discussions ongoing between us and Tk'emlúps in the meantime. And the TNRD is continuing to connect formally and informally with other Indigenous communities. The accessibility plan is on this list. That's very much in progress. The accessibility committee started in June of last year, and it meets quarterly. An accessibility plan for the TNRD is close to being finished. We've built it from scratch, working with many TNRD departments and our 10-person volunteer committee, which directors Blackwell and Hayward are on as well. We'll expect to present that later this year. There's also been good results for the North Kamloops Library CSO program through a partnership with the City of Kamloops, where CSO officers at the library help vulnerable patrons access services and support. And there's work ongoing to finalize a longer-term contract there. The Household Hazardous Waste Facility, that's another partnership with the City of Kamloops, which opened in May. It's kind of a game changer for disposing household hazardous waste in the TNRD compared to what we had previously, which was a couple one-off roundup events twice per year. And we do have a 50-50 funding split with the TNRD, the city for that facility. And another project on this page, collective bargaining. We have a new agreement with CUPE affecting about 50 TNRD employees, which was a pretty big success for our team at the TNRD that negotiated that with the union start to finish really in less than a week, from my understanding. Economic sustainability and resiliency, action items like infrastructure improvements, grant-funded projects, and projects that support local economies. There's been a couple of projects in Blue River, infrastructure projects for the community water system. One is a generator that was donated by Trans Mountain through a CBA agreement there. So if there's a power outage, there's an auto transfer switch for backup power instead of manually transporting a backup generator from Kamloops. That new system was tested in late March during an outage and apparently performed as planned during that. In Pritchard, the water and wastewater treatment project is well underway. There was an RFP for a component of the project that actually closed yesterday. So staff have been working on that through the spring. 2 separate RFPs for the water and wastewater plants are going to go out. I plan to go out at different points later this year. So that should start before the end of this year and be done by the end of 2025 if all plans out. So that would be a dramatic improvement in water quality, and the sewer component would bring the TNRD in compliance with wastewater requirements. And that's been significantly funded by grants. It's a costly project for tiny utility systems, and the board allocated money last year to that from the one-time Community Works Fund. Radio frequency identification, that's on this as well. That's being added to all TNRL libraries, expected to happen before the end of this year. Basically, this is chips inside library materials to match patrons when they scan their library card. And it's already in place at the Aberdeen Tiny Library, so patrons there would probably be familiar with it already. Lastly here, the TNFC, there's 2 significant grants in progress for the Small But Mighty Film Commission of the TNRD. They've purchased as well 3 generators to reduce film production using greenhouse gases emitted by diesel generators. So we're calling them green generators, they're electric. There aren't really any electric generators on the market for film companies. So it's a cool project that we'll have some public messaging about sometime in the near future. This one's on everybody's mind right now as a strategic priority, emergency planning and response. It's always top of mind, and especially today. Things like emergency management partnerships, Fire Smart, fire protection, community safety initiatives, training and education. So our Fire Smart program is fully grant funded. We were awarded $700,000 this year to run the program, and there's another $700,000 to run it next year. It's all about public education at events and community meetings, private property home assessments, which are done for free. There have been hundreds of assessments done this year alone in our 10 TNRD electoral areas. Our Fire Smart team, as you heard, was in Venables Valley last night, giving important Fire Smart information and working closely with locals. That wouldn't happen without this grant-funded program. So can't stress enough the impact that this has had in our rural areas. The TNRD is continuing to work with KSAR to investigate options for a new home for search and rescue for the team as directed by the board. A board report's expected to come later this year. Loon Lake Fire Hall is on here as well. That's the brand new fire hall operational this year for the community. For the first full year, we had an event there with the community to show everyone around last month, and that was many years in the making and a really positive project for the community. We prepared the Vavenby Fire Protection Referendum, had a community meeting and did a survey and all the pre-planning earlier this year. Residents decided by the majority, let's go ahead with a vote and a referendum. So that's obviously now been scheduled for September 14th, where residents can vote yes or no. We also have an ESS team now established in Chase. And we've continued to utilize a $30,000 grant that's coming annually to the TNRD for upgrades to our emergency operations center and equipment that our team in there uses. So that's been pretty impactful for our EOC room and for our EOC team being out in the field, which we have been on a daily basis now this week, putting a lot of that equipment to use. Last but not least, responsible governance and service excellence. So things like transparency and accountability, fiscal responsibility, community engagement, access to information, workplace excellence, efficient service delivery. Budget reporting is one way we ensure transparency and accountability in our financial reporting. So we have our quarterly spending reports, which isn't mandated by legislation, but it's something that we put out quarterly. This is one that's brought to the Finance Committee, which just started earlier this year and is going to continue through our legislated SOFI. That's another measure as well for budget reporting, statement of financial information. We have our new accounting standards for asset retirement obligations. Budget communications has been a pretty big undertaking by the TNRD as well, starting last year and continuing in the spring of this year, showing residents exactly what they pay for each service in each area that they're in. And exactly what those services cost, whether you're in the city of Kamloops or any of our electoral areas or other municipalities. I looked at my own tax bill and it all chimed out perfectly from when I looked at my assessed value and times the amounts that were on our infographics for the city of Kamloops times what the assessment was. So we worked pretty hard to get that all correct to the penny. I was pretty proud of that. Our ERP system preparation, enterprise resource system preparation. So we're replacing antiquated financial and human resources systems. As the board knows, this is a huge undertaking going on between our HR and finance teams right now. And an RFP is going to be issued later this year. Lastly, for communications generally, we're active all year long with public engagement and information sharing. We've done an overwhelming amount of surveys this year for our OCP work in areas L&P and M&N, fire protection and M&N, Tobiano land use planning, Sun Peaks transfer station hours, Aberdeen Tiny Library feedback. And we're also planning a couple more surveys at least in the coming months, one for South Green Lake street lighting. And the other one I didn't write down, but I'm sure it'll be in my inbox in a week or two. We've done quite a few newsletters this year. Our regional newsletter that we do twice per year, Waterworks for our water system customers. That took a ton of planning this year because of the significant rate changes for our water systems. We redid our board meeting highlights newsletter to better serve residents, and it's much more readable and does the job a lot better now for residents. We did a newsletter for M&N Fire Protection. We started and finished our 2023 annual report. So most news posts, every news release we do comes with updates to our website. Sometimes those are very significant and involve creating physical materials as well to reach, especially our rural areas. So that's all I have for that one. Wanted to get a photo in here just to summarize. So in the report we gave you and what I just shared on the screen, I just went through about 22 projects. According to my list, there was 57 between those 5 strategic priorities from between January and June that we gave an update on. 20 we've marked as complete, 35 is in progress, 2 has not yet started through that past list. It's not a full picture of staff day-to-day work, but a summary of a lot of significant works that take place. And important to recognize too that a lot of day-to-day operational work isn't captured when we do this. Now going to be twice per year strategic plan progress update. Things like our customer service across all department, work by our utility systems when we need emergency work there. Things like that of our more day-to-day operational work. We have fun doing it. We do, this was from before Super Bowl Sunday. There's a different theme every Friday and most staff take part. That's that. So where to find this? You might have missed things through our slides and it might have been hard to see, but the whole PDF is on our website, tnrd.ca/strategic-plan. So our strategic plan webpage, and it's sitting right there. So that's where we'll continue to put these as we keep doing these updates through the rest of your term.
Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Davis, Director Houghton?
Thanks, Director, or Chair Roden. Colton. Another thing I'd like to add to the list, I know it's not complete yet, but it was a sure big move this year on behalf of the TNRD to, get all the approvals required for the Monty Creek Fire Hall and the official hiring of a contractor. And I'd sure like to see a 4x8 sign at the turnoff. I did talk to Jamie about future home of Monty Creek Fire Hall with our logo on it and the completion date. But that's, I know us and area LMP are very, very proud of that. Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Davis? Director Hammer Jackson?
No, I just like to say good job.
It doesn't look like a lot on the page, but when you break it down, it is a lot.
It is.
Any other questions or comments? No? Thank you very much for the update.
Thank you, Chair.
All right, item 12.1.3, BDO follow-up audit policy recommendations. We have a report from the General Manager of People and Engagement, Ms. Ellison. Does anyone have any questions regarding this? Ms. Ellison, are you fine just to? It was pretty self-explanatory. Thank you very much. Does anyone have any questions?
Chair,
On
I
any of the
believe
specific-
Ms. Ellison is in the EOC.
Oh, I'm sorry. Who am I? I'm sorry. I am somewhat preoccupied right now with other things. So I please, I am here. My mind is somewhere over south of Ashcroft right now. So, all right. Does anyone have any questions or comments? This item is for information only. It's regarding what we have done since the forensic audit recommendations that came out in 2022. I believe there were 64 recommendations in all. And CAO Hildebrand, I believe all of them have been implemented now.
I think we're 99%, but just few that are ongoing.
Thank you. All right. Item 12.1.4, replacement committee member appointment for the Plan Monitoring Advisory Committee. We do have a recommendation for a replacement. Director Ranta, seconded by Director Smith. Thank you kindly. Any comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, if any? Thank you. That is carried. Item 12.1.5, change in hours of service to the Kamloops and North Kamloops libraries. And I am confident that Ms. Moore is in the gallery. I can say with certainty. Any questions or comments for her regarding the change in hours at the Kamloops and North Kamloops libraries? All right, thank you very much. And just a question follow-up, the not chips that are on the items that are checked out of the tiny library. So as items are ordered into that particular branch, that is when the chips are applied to them? Because, okay, thank you very much. So someone orders something that doesn't have a chip, once it goes through the tiny library, it will have a chip. And the goal is that every single item that can be checked out of the TNRL will have one of those on it somewhere. Wow. Is there any kind of timeline for how long this is going to, we must be talking hundreds of thousands of items? Tens of thousands of items?
Chair Roden, hundreds of thousands of items. So we are just in the midst of recruiting for 2 pages that will be brought on temporarily to help us affix RFID labels in all of our materials. So whether it's AV or books or anything. And along with that, we're doing a big cull of the collection. So anything that hasn't really moved in the last number of years is being culled from the collection, just so that, you know, we're not affixing labels to things that will be seeing their way out of the collection quickly. So yeah, we aim to have that done prior to the end of the year. So it's a big effort across all of our libraries and kind of headquartered downtown.
Director Middleton.
Just want to thank the library service for offering up the cool place to be, particularly through this this ongoing heat event that we are having. Do your hours change when you are operating or offering cooling space as well? So I see the, you know, the regular hours are like till 6 p.m. Are you offering extended hours through this time period?
Yeah, through the chair to Director Middleton, great question. To my understanding, we're not officially a cooling center, and there are parameters that are set in terms of overall temperatures and then temperatures in the evening. So we would look at that extension of hours potentially if those temperatures extended past a certain point in the evening. So that hasn't occurred yet, to my understanding. So we'd be advised. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? All right, thank you. We move on to 12.1.6 Canada Community Building Fund electoral areas M and N. We do have one very lengthy recommendation. Director Laird, Director Graham second, thank you. Director Laird.
Thank you. I'd just like to thank the staff and Austin Potts especially. It was a fairly complicated application. We didn't think we'd be able to actually fund this project. It's something that's been ongoing in our community ever since I was on school board, and that was 10 years ago. And we finally got it solved. We now have a safe walking path for the Thompson-Nicola school students. And when we first started looking at it, it didn't look like we could meet the criteria, but Austin sorted it out, and now we're moving the recommendation. So thanks very much to the staff.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments on this item? On the question, then all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That is carried. We have the TNRD building permit activity highlights for June for your information and edification. Does anyone have any comments on that? We have the utility systems meeting that took place on June 19th. We do have a recommendation arising out of that. Anyone like to move that recommendation? Director Grenier, thank you. Seconded by Director Thorpe. Any questions or comments on this? On the question, then all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, if any, that is carried. We have reports from the Finance Committee on June 19th and the Parcel Tax Review Panel Committee meeting on June 27th. Does anyone have any comments on either of those? Director Grenier?
Thank you, Chair. While we were in our meeting this morning, I received an email from a former director, John Sternick, and I thought I'd share that brief comment. It says, hello, Mike. I read the first 20 pages of the report. As you mentioned, it is excellent. The CFO should be commended on one of the best reports I have seen. That's from John Sternick. So congratulations on that, CFO Fox.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or comments on either of these? I know. All right, we move on to two items of correspondence, 14.11 and 14.12. These are for information. Does anyone have any comments? All right, we move on to new business. Does anyone have items of new business? We have Directors Bass, Getz, and Stamer and Houghton. To start off with, Director Bass.
Thank you. I was not impressed this morning with the presentation from BC Transit. So I would like to move. Let me start again. I was not impressed. It's like they don't know what goes on up here. You know, we have logging, we have forestry. We're not bumpkins. And I'm referring to us as the region because I'm in a big city, okay? So I'd like to move that we send a letter to BC Transit, and I would leave it to staff to decide who to invite, but those two would be good. Inviting them to come to the TNRD, tour the relevant communities that are affected by this regionalization transit plan that they are belatedly discussing with us, so they can see exactly what we're talking about. Because I had the feeling that they just didn't care. And I talked to a couple of you, and I think I'm not alone on this. I think they need to see that we're not Abbotsford Mission, you know. So I'd like to move that we send a letter and invite them up here to see what they're talking about.
Thank you very much. So moved by Director Bass, seconded by Director Laird, that we contact BC Transit and invite them to come up and take a tour of some of the small community bus transit systems in the Thompson-Nicola Regional District. All right, thank you. Any discussion on that? Director Laird?
I was quite concerned with the report as well. It's almost like they didn't know what was happening in our community. They didn't supply us with any kind of financial savings of how they were going to improve our transit system. The other interesting thing is, and I mentioned it, Area M has the transit system in it, not Area N, and they had Area N paying my buddy Herb over there, paying for transit that he doesn't have. And I have, so I'm getting a free ride right now, but it might change, I'm not sure. Anyway, I was so disappointed. We're so familiar with all this regionalization, and it hasn't worked for us anywhere in the regional district. Anyway, just some comments. Thanks.
Well, one nugget from the meeting with the minister was, one of the questions that he asked was, how many students use the bus to commute from Clearwater to Kamloops to go to TRU? And when it was understood the question he was asking, the answer was, well, 0 use it to commute on a daily basis from Clearwater to TRU. So he clearly did not understand, I suspect, the geography involved in his question. All right, any more discussion on this? You don't laugh, you cry. All right, on the motion then, all those in favor? Opposed,
Aye.
if any? That is carried. Is there any other? Oh, we do have new business. Director Getz, you are next on my list of new business.
Thank you. Just to bring you up to date, past councillor, past mayor, and good friend of mine, and TNRD member Neil Menard passed away 2 days ago. He invited me over to his house on Friday. He couldn't speak anymore, but he wrote me letters and wanted to let you know how he enjoyed being part of all of this. And he always, as a jokester, at the very bottom, he said, "I'm going to get out of this heat wave one way or the other." And he did happen to pass away. So he was a great guy and a good friend of mine, and he did our community really well. And he loved TNRD and everything that went with it.
Neil and his cowboy hats. All right, thank you very much. Director Stamer.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Just a couple of housekeepings for me. I'm going to try to be at the planning to attend on the board meeting in Merritt on the 15th. I've asked our district barrier council for a leave of absence from my mayor's responsibility, pending right after Labor Day weekend for the provincial election. So my last district barrier council meeting will be August the 12th. Councillor Rob Kerslake will be stepping in as acting mayor for September and October. And he will be attending all my TNRD meetings. And so hopefully I could be back, I may not be back, but sure enjoyed my time and hopefully made a difference. And want to thank staff and everyone.
Thank you very much, Director Stamer and Director Houghton.
Try and make this quick. I forgot to acknowledge the letter that Paula Pick wrote in correspondence regarding the city of Kamloops not offering services. She since texted me back or emailed me back thanking the city for opening up the cooling centers they did. I said, I believe the Sandman Center was booked for previous events. And I says, they're doing what they can too. So I wasn't trying to dump onto the city. I did, but she did thank the city afterwards for opening up the centers that you did. Second thing is I attended the Pritchard Rodeo last week on behalf of the TNRD and stood alongside MLA Stone, and we prepared pancakes and served it to quite a few different people. And the Pritchard people thanked us very much for the money we gave them from our discretionary funds for putting on that beautiful event. It's the highlight of that community as the North Thompson Fall Fair is to Barrier. And the last thing is I'm looking forward to be a tour guide when everybody hops on the bus going down into Mayor Gates's and Director Graham and Laird's territory. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Director Rain.
I wanted to say that Councillor Rob O'Toole my alternate will begin taking my place, and I've told him he should go to the mayor's meeting to meet you all. So please be nice to him.
We'll be as nice as we are to you.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any new business to bring up? All right, we do have a notice of motion presented by Director Graham at the June 20th, 2024 regular board meeting. Director Graham, would you like to read this out?
Yeah, well, I'd like to move that we accept this motion to extend the one-time exception to extend the EA grant policy permitting funds in amount not to exceed the amount that was transferred from economic development into the discretionary funds.
I'll second it.
Thank you very much. Moved by Director Graham, seconded by Director Hayward. Does anyone have any questions? No questions or comments on the motion, then all those in favor?
Aye.
Is anyone opposed? That is carried. Question period. Does anyone have any questions? Oh, Director Graham, would you be able to just pop your microphone off there, please?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. No questions? All right, I will move that a closed meeting take place following this meeting in accordance with Community Charter Sections 90.1 F. Law enforcement, if the board considers that disclosure could reasonably be expected to harm the conduct of an investigation under or enforcement of an enactment, and G, litigation or potential litigation. Someone second that? Director Thorpe, thank you very much. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That is carried, and we'll just have a couple of minutes recess while Director Newstater is sent a new invitation to the closed meeting.